And she said, you know something? Well, she didn't say it exactly like this, but she basically said, you accept me for exactly who I am. And I realize that whoever I'm going to be married to, I have to accept. So I think what she did in her mind is she tallied all of the faults and put it together with the good stuff, did probably a basic pros and cons list. And the pros heavily outweighed the cons, so she's able to put a big X through the cons and say, sorry, I get the whole pie, flies and all. Dogs are fags, cats can't be gay. Yeah, I was really lucky. No, we won't be looking for a divorce, my brother. We are looking for longevity, which is not common in America, that's for sure. Not common at all. Well, what do you want? You think marriage should be a thing of the past? Is it a romantic notion that you could actually get together with somebody and spend more than 5 years with them and be committed and be faithful? Is that something that's a myth more than anything? Because a whole lot of lying going on in America. And if you think it's bad between men and women now, wait till we have a female president and the arguments start in the household, at the household level. And if somebody's going to say something, there's a female president, the guy's going to say something, oh, she ain't going to do anything about wars, she's a woman, or some shit like that. And the woman in the house is going to be like, what? And it's going to start. There it goes. Yeah, I've already been divorced. I have no reason to think that I'll do it again. That's why I waited so long to get remarried. I wanted to make sure it was right. Because getting divorced is no fun. I'll tell you that. I like females only, well, not so much the like part. Not common anywhere for that matter. Yeah, I know what you mean. Well, it is an exception to the general rule, Andrew. And I think, you know what it is? The two of us, Tanya and I don't know how much I can say regarding her personal life on the show. Let's just say that we both came up in somewhat similar childhoods with similar challenges. And I will say, and I hope she's not mad at me for this, but alcohol played a role in what we saw growing up. And it wasn't so much that it was alcohol, I don't think. It was that constant feeling of you're with a person who's not quite themselves. And their mood varies strongly throughout the day depending on the level of their intoxication. And while we both forgive those people for being in the condition they were in, especially considering it was a lot more acceptable back then than it is now, we felt the impact of it. It does something to you psychologically. It really does something to you. It starts to harden you up early and get you in this independent mindset that I'm going to have to make it on my own. And all kinds of crazy things happen in the mind at a young age. She's been married one time, Barco. I've been married once, and she's been married once. Triumph of hope over experience. Yeah, I know. Will Hillary top the cigar party? That is the real question. You know she is gay. I didn't know she was gay, but I know if she runs, she'll definitely get the Democratic nomination. There are a few women looking at the Republican ticket right now, too. So 50% of first marriages, 67% of second, and 73% of third marriages and then divorce. Wow. Well, we're going to have to beat those odds. So the second marriages means you double that percentage. You double that failure percentage. Okay. You've got a weird math there. 67 times 2 less, carry the 12. Hoo boy, math is hard. Yes, it is. Yeah, well, we're going to be in the 30, let's see, that's 33%. Yeah. We're going to be in the 1/3. I don't think that's a unreasonable percentage base to hope to be part of. It'd be different if it was 99% failed, but 67%, we can handle that. Some people aren't made for it. Some people aren't built for it. You know, there are 3 types of relationships that I think last. And in almost all these relationships, as Barco probably already knows, I put this in one of my books and I still feel the same. there is a chasing going on. Have you ever noticed that? In most relationships, there's one runner and one chaser. And it almost stays that way, the entire relationship, in a successful relationship. If both people are chasing each other, they kind of smash into each other and you have a great big explosion and it's beautiful, but it's short-lived. If both people run, well, it's over. You have both people running. But if one chases and one runs, it's like this almost gyroscopic movement that propels the relationship forward. And sometimes you can have alternating chasers and runners. So the guy could be chasing the woman and then the woman could be chasing the guy. It works. It works. I don't know why, but it seems to be one of the signs of a successful relationship, a chaser and a runner. But the three types of relationships you're going to find that succeed. One is going to be the complacency relationship. That means we're just too bored to get divorced. Fuck it. We're okay with each other. We're roommates. The second one is the one that is true love and respect. And then I think the third one is like the open relationship one that basically says, yes, we're in a relationship, but none of your freedoms are gone. So those tend to work longer term. So I'm in the second group. I think it has to work for love and really no other reason. I mean, if you don't have the love, you're just not going to make it unless you go to the first group, which is the complacency ones. And those are people that just gave up. These are not people that are happy. You go to their house, they don't say anything. They both sit on the couch and look at you. Yeah, that's bad. How about the people that stay married but fucking hate each other? What is that about? What is the reason for the progressive increase in divorce? Barco always sharing some interesting facts here. Significant number of people in her second marriage on the rebound. Okay, well, that's a good point. I definitely was not on the rebound. I've waited, let's see, 2000, so I've waited 14 years. Wow. God. Yeah. Well, I wanted to make sure I did it right. I was close. I think I was pretty close to getting engaged to my ex-girlfriend who I was with for 5 years. And something kept holding me back. Some part of me wasn't certain. And I think I know why. And it was because we had this kind of, there was something weird about it. There was some kind of competition thing. And I couldn't put my finger on it because I'm very passive that way. I don't care if you're earning more money than me or, you know, I'll help you promote your career in any way you want to. So it was almost like she was a man hater, but she didn't hate me, at least most of the time. So it was that kind of feeling. So I held back. And with Tanya, I knew after a year, but I had to wait 4 years to make sure that she was really ready for me. And yeah, open relationships aren't relationships at all. It's two people hanging out while they, I don't know. It's almost, I think it's a roommate situation, really, with open relationships. But I was definitely not on the rebound. I'm going to share that article that you just shared because it looks very interesting, and I respect psychology today. Copy. So we went from education, if you're just tuning in, to freestyle, and the freestyle, stemming from chat room conversation, has led us into discussions about relationships. Seems to be a topic. Seems to come up pretty often on in the chat room on my show, and I wonder why. I wonder if it's because people are having problems in their relationships, or I think I would be a pretty decent relationship counselor, but I would have to know both parties involved, really know them, to give them any good suggestions. But ultimately, what I found is people know. You know in your heart what's up with your partner. You know if you're not going to last. You generally know pretty well if you are going to last, unless something unforeseen pops up. And you know when you're not happy, you know when you are happy. If you need your partner to change 10 or 15 relatively major things about themselves before you can truly have faith in your relationship lasting, you're not going to make it. You have to take those 10 or 15 things and say, fuck it. They are who they are. I either take them 100% or leave them 100%. And that's how you're going to find your peace in your relationship, because you're not going to find a perfect person. Sharing up, Princess. My cat, who should not be out here, I haven't let her out here since she broke my computer, is now trying to break my loner. No, you may not. And now she's mad at me because I won't let her walk on the computer. So she won't be out here anymore, the one you see on my shoulder in the profile picture, at all, after I get my new computer in. Barker says everyone has a choice to be loved or to be free. That's true. That's right. Andrew, how old were you when you got married? I think when a young man has the testosterone flowing, and for that matter, the young woman too, they have testosterone, and that can dictate some of their behavior. But ultimately, it's estrogen and the balance of those chemicals, along with the crazy shit that happens with a woman during menstruation and during her fertile period, and then the other couple of weeks of relative peace she has. Arthur C. Clarke did the human animal episode one time. I remember it was showing a woman that was going to cheat. She was in Europe, and she had ridden the train to another town, and it showed all of the things that happen when a woman's looking for a different kind of mate. Like, she had a boyfriend, but she ended up sleeping with this guy in another town. Went back to her boyfriend, showed how he actually produced a shitload more sperm than normal to try to compensate for the fact that he may have competing sperm in the mix now. I mean, crazy stuff. When you look at how humans behave, we can say all we want, we can write sweet stories, but deep down in there, there's an animal. And if you don't have control of that animal, then you don't have control of that animal. You ought not to get married. If you don't have control of your animal, you should not be married. That's for certain. What's your cat's Facebook profile link? I don't have one. I think we should make one for each of our cats. I thought you were a cat, Barco. Barco, did you see the video that I commented on and everybody hated me for? They were talking about the reptilian complex, and I went off saying, why don't you just prove one of these things is real? And I thought they were talking about the reptiles, the actual reptile aliens in the government, but they were talking about this. I haven't followed this reptilian thing in psychology, so it threw me off a bit, but it was still the same procedure. It was just like Alex Jones loves to do. You create this boogeyman out there. You create this bad guy. And ultimately, what can his followers do? What can the people who believe in these boogeymen do? 9/11 was an inside job. They're reptiles in the government. The New World Order. The Koch brothers control everything. What they can do is point outside themselves for their problems. There's the fault. That's the fault of things not right in my life. It's not me. Surely isn't me. And it ultimately reduces the need for people to find a solution that's more productive and more reasonable, which is usually inside themselves. Most people can change their lives for the better if they choose to, but it's much easier to stay where you are and blame the fucking Koch brothers. This is David Icke, right? Reptilian complex, okay. I'm going to share that too since we're talking about it. It's not something I was really familiar with, and yet this has spawned a psychopath hunt. We've talked about this before. There's this witch hunt going on now for psychopaths, and I don't like it. I don't think that's fair. Psychopaths need mental help, but it's also prudent of you to know how to spot a psychopath because it can save you a lot of trouble in your life. And that goes for sociopaths in general. That goes for neurotics. If you know a little bit about mental disorders, you can easily filter through the types of people you interact with to decide who you want to let into the next closer level to you. Because if you let the wrong types of people in, you're going to get hurt one way or the other. So, again, it's not a bad idea to know how to identify a psychopath. It does take a trained psychiatrist with an MD behind his name to label someone a psychopath, at least in a term that would fly in court, not you or me. And but we can look at the criteria that are required. And since we're talking about that, I'm going to find that again for you. How to spot a psychopath. And they use something, I can't remember what it's called. I should know this. There's a certain scale they use that the guy that, basically came up with the term HARE, H-A-R-E. This isn't the same website I used before, but it's the same criteria.